Hi, I'm Pat Maloney with the London Free Press and lfpress.com, and I'm back with my colleague Chip Martin. And Chip, I guess we should sort of pretend that, even though we sit next to each other, that we haven't seen each other since the last video. So how have you been since our last video?
I have been fine, Patrick. How have you been?
Oh, I've been good.
Have you?
Yes, although I have. What?
Okay. Have you been getting any sort of emails or anything like that?
Yeah.
Like what?
Well, since you asked, in the last week I've been called a criminal, which is a new one.
Good.
I've been called a total airhead, also new. Someone said I'm the worst reporter they've ever seen, which I have heard before, many, many, many times. And someone else said that someone else said I'm going to get fired from the Free Press, also heard that before, but that if I ever work again, it will be at a glossy rag for the mentally deficient. To which I said, is People Magazine hiring? And
well,
that was it.
I think the quality of emails and messages we're getting from the readers is improving.
At an all-time high.
Yeah, an all-time high.
Well, anyway, thanks for bringing that up.
Okay,
so I guess we'll talk about City Hall now.
That's a heck of an idea.
I'd rather get to that, and then particularly the story you had on Saturday where you sort of opened the bomb doors again on council, and the headline was, "With respect," it's a quote, "With respect, it was not a pleasure to do business with you." Front page story in Saturday's newspaper, and of course anyone can see it at lfpress.com. Chip, let's pretend I hadn't read it. To the reader, to the people who hadn't read it, what is the story about?
Well, Joe Fontana, before he became mayor, was involved in a green energy company that was looking at some projects in Romania and some other countries in Europe. And he got into some issues there with respect to trying to get some business going. It didn't get off the ground. There's an individual in London here who worked with him, who he did some translating work and some engineering work for him. And in fact, this individual is suing the mayor for $1 million, saying that he's owed over $200,000 in payments for the work he did with alongside Mayor Fontana before he was mayor. And the story is basically that this individual now, while the suit is active, Joe Fontana indicated in a series of emails that he wanted to get out of the lawsuit.
Emails you've seen? Emails
that I have copies of, yeah, and that this individual, Mayor Fontana, now wanted to get out of the lawsuit, and this individual said that in order to do that, the mayor arranged to get him a job with a developer in town in order to get out of the lawsuit. And this individual is working for a developer right now and doing quite well apparently. But this story was something that it was interesting in sort of a business that the mayor had been in before he became mayor, and how he's dealing with it since he has been mayor.
I see. And then we don't need to get into the particulars of it here, and people can read the story and draw their own conclusions, obviously. The developer is...
Oh, Ali Soufan with York Developments has hired this individual, Tony Baxa, that had worked with Mayor Fontana. Okay. And apparently the mayor tells me that, in fact, he introduces people looking for a job. They come to him, and he'll do what he can, pass along resumes, make introductions, make recommendations, that sort of thing, and that he does this and he will continue to do so.
What does Soufan say?
Mr. Soufan said that Mr. Baxa came to him saying that the mayor had suggested he come see him, as well as others in the community, in order to get a job. That's the extent of that.
Definitely worth a read, I'd say, Chip. So on to other stories. I'm working on one today, which will be in Tuesday's editions, about, as you'll recall, October 30th, Nancy Branscombe tabled a motion at council saying, hey, let's discuss asking Mayor Fontana to temporarily step aside until this RCMP investigation is done. He can clear his good name, quote unquote, and they can come back. That was defeated by an 8-6 vote, so they didn't even open the debate. Now there's, I would say, fairly strong indication that next week, when council meets again, the motion will be tabled again. Now, irrespective of all that, two of Fontana's allies in the Fontana 8 voting bloc, as it's come to be known, are Joe Swan and Denise Brown. Joe Swan is suggesting very strongly to me that this is a distraction for City Council because of the Free Press and because of, this is my word, council critics, but he said council. If council lets it become a distraction, it's a distraction. I said, well, what about us? We can't write about water rates, we can't write about all these interesting issues because we're snowed under writing about Joe Fontana's ongoing issues. Joe Swan said, that's your problem, which suggested to me that I'm not sure if we're supposed to ignore the biggest story at City Hall or what, but that's what he said. Denise Brown, on the other hand, another member of the Fontana 8, has done a 180. She said, for the good of his family and the good of the city, time to take a break until this mess is cleared up.
So that gives 2 more votes for the group that would like to reopen this issue. Is that enough?
Who are the 2?
If Swan and...
No, Swan has said, I'll wait till next week, because he still believes, he gave the mayor a month to come forward with some information that would clear all this up for everybody. A month will have passed since you broke the story as of this coming Friday. So by the time council meets next week, it will have been a month.
And
what will he do then? I don't know. He didn't say.
Okay, well...
So there's 1 vote.
There seems to be 1, but that doesn't
So now there's 8 and 7, although Denise will not be at that meeting. But let's just say that she was. Hypothetically, there's 8 to 7 in support of opening the motion, but you need 10 votes. So 2 more council members need to come over to the side that's saying, Joe, we need to discuss this. And again, no matter what happens, nobody can force him out.
No.
But it certainly doesn't look good if you have a non-confidence vote from the majority of council. But 2/3 of council, so 10 votes are needed to open up what's an emergent motion, which would be, hey, let's discuss asking Joe to leave. Do you think that's possible? Do you think it's possible for 10 votes to be corralled if we're already at 8?
It sounds like a tall order, especially if Denise is going to be away and we don't know what Joe Swan's going to do. It sounds to me they need 10 votes, right?
Correct.
Sounds to me like that's a pretty tough row to hoe. I don't think it'll happen.
But okay, but why? What's the delay for the Paul Van Meerbergens, the Dale Hendersons, the Bud Polhills? I guess the Stephen Orsers. What's the holdup? What are they waiting for?
I guess they're hoping if they ignore it, it'll go away, but it's not going to go away.
No, I'm not. I'm serious. Is that really what they're hoping for?
I suspect that they hope that time will heal and they'll move on. That's my only assumption based on that. However, at the same time moves on. Who knows what's going to happen between now and what's the date on the council meeting?
The 30th.
30th? The 20th. The 20th. So who knows?
I'm dead serious. So Nancy Branscombe, you know what? Nancy will probably forget all about it. That Chip Martin guy, I think he's got vacation coming. Like, is that seriously what they're asking?
No, I don't know. I just think sometimes when politicians are faced with difficult situations, they tend to hope that if they stall and delay, that people's interest will go away, that they will be distracted. Other politicians may come in and may get involved in various issues and distract people from the elephant in the room. I just think it's a political tactic, and I think that a number of members of council are sort of hoping this will go away.
Yeah, and I can understand that generally, but it is my estimation that this is the most interesting, compelling issue to come up to City Hall, and certainly in my 10 years in the city, and I suspect in a lot longer than that. This is not going away. Or am I, maybe I'm too involved in the story and I'm losing sight of the fact that a lot of people don't care.
I just think that a lot of people are hoping that to let this thing slide and try to move on with other business and get involved in other issues and other, I mean, we've had no shortage of issues since the mayor was, we found out that there was an investigation going on. We've seen Mr. Orser with some issues, Mr. Armstrong with some issues, and who knows what other issues will rise between now and November the 20th. I just, I've watched councils for 40 years almost, and seems to be when things get hot, they like to try to cool things down by sort of putting it on the back burner.
So, put it on the back burner to cool it down, not a mixed metaphor.
Well,
you blew it. You blew it.
No, but the burner with the low setting. You know, the simmer setting. Okay.
Okay. So last thing, referring to Councillor Orser, told a young man, Brian Gibson, who's a citizen, council watcher, all around pretty nice guy, told him to duck off when he sent. Let me start again. He sent an email which identified him as Ward 4 Councillor Stephen Orser, with a simple 2-word message, duck off. This was when Gibson told the members of council, hey, I've started a petition to get the public to get behind asking the mayor to temporarily step aside. A petition that I would say, by the by, does not have an overwhelming amount of support last time I looked. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Orser told him to duck off. He then disappeared for a few days. He then said, hey, I'm sorry if I hurt his feelings, which is one of those narrow apologies. But he did apologize eventually, and he's
I found the most interesting thing on that was the explanation, and the initial explanation is duck off means go away. Well, right. Even if it means go away, what in the world is a politician in this city telling somebody that's raising an issue that's on the agenda, that's being talked about? What's a politician in this city doing telling a member of the public just to go away? I mean, quite frankly, even at its highest level, it's not intelligent. It's not a smart thing to say.
Well, it's not a smart thing to say, but it's even stupider to write it.
Yeah, that's right. It's exactly, even stupider to write it. And then you get an apology several days later. I'm sorry. First of all, it should never have been said, and secondly, the apology should have been immediate and unqualified.
Right. But all that being said, like I saw Steve at the Cenotaph yesterday, and he's kind of it's in the past now, I guess, and
just the same sort of approach that members of council are taking with respect to the charges against Mr. Fontana.
Right. I think that the duck off email and the RCMP probe are you can compare those very easily.
Well, I don't know about that. I don't know about that, but quite frankly, it's an interesting situation we find ourselves in. Issues are coming and going, and some people have suggested perhaps Mr. Orser was raising that issue, the duck off, in order to take the heat off the mayor.
Yeah, maybe.
Who knows? Who knows? I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but.
You're not paranoid.
I'm not paranoid.
But just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not after you.
That's right, exactly right. I'm only paranoid because people are after me.
That's right. Do you want to talk just briefly about Deb Matthews' decision to not seek the Liberal leadership? This is not City Hall, but I'm just curious what you thought. Yeah,
Deb's, quite frankly, who would want to be leader of the Ontario Liberals right now?
What do you mean?
Quite frankly, there seems to be a lot of people that want to do it, but I think they need their heads read, quite frankly. She's served the City of London well. Sometimes when people become premier from London, we've seen it in the past, they don't have quite as much attention for London because they're looking at the entire province. And I think Deb's served Londoners well, and I think it's a smart move for her to say, no, I'm not going to. And you'd indicated that she'd worked for Pupatello, was it?
That's what Jonathan Scher told me, that I'm not sure how that happened, because anyway, Deb had some working relationship with Pupatello before she became an elected politician, so maybe she'll support Pupatello.
One would think that would make some sense. So I'm sort of relieved that Deb, she's done a good job as health minister, as far as we can tell, and who needs the aggravation of being Premier of Ontario right now?
So who's your pick then to be the Liberal leader? If you were picking.
Oh man, the way things are going, there could be 5 or 6 or 7 or 20 more come out of the woodwork in the next couple of days. Right now, I think Sandra Pupatello's looking strong. Gerard Kennedy, certainly he would be a strong candidate. Beyond that, I don't know who half the rest of these guys are.
Interesting. I always liked Kennedy. We'll see. Yep. He's Irish. Can't go wrong with an Irishman. Okay, so on behalf of Chip Martin, I'm Pat Maloney for lfpress.com, and thank you very much for watching.